a little bit in various areas, and the stream's up running now, and all the lights on the modem are green. So if I speak very, very softly, I might be all right. Anyway, okay, so like I say, we're broadcasting by Melbourne Television Repeater, VK3RTV. I don't think there's any BATC feed. There might be, but I'm not too sure. But otherwise, Richard, VK3VRS, is providing a Discord stream. G'day to Mike, who I know is watching, VK3XL. And whoever else. Like I said, there's also an email address, vk3ekh@gmail.com. Now, this is for those watching Visions. This is the magazine that comes with being a member of the ASV. It's a really beautiful publication. It came today, actually. I think it came today. It might have come yesterday, but it's a lovely publication. It's just it's not very thick. It's always been about that thickness. But anyway, I'm just going to work my way through this one at the moment. ASV have got a few things happening over February and March, and I'd just like to read what's happening out of. They've got something called the Festival Falls Creek, a tour of the night sky, and a weekend under the stars. Now, let me just have a quick read of what they're saying here. It's titled "Launching a Summer of Star Parties." Now, I might add again, it's this is generally for membership of the society. For amateur astronomers, warm weather marks the beginning of a star party season. Star parties are wonderful opportunities to connect with other like-minded people to discuss and observe the wonders of the universe. The ASV will host 3 star parties across Victoria, February and March. Volunteers will share the wonders of night sky at Falls Creek as part of the festival, a 3-day feast of music, art, comedy and food in the pristine alpine environment of northeast Victoria. The Mount Buller Star Party was fantastic. We now have an agreement with Mount Buller to host a star party for the next 5 years, said President Mark Ascario. G'day, Mark, if you're listening. Mark said that the Falls Creek Festival, which will be very similar to the Mount Buller Star Party, will occur from Friday 16th of February to Saturday 17th of February. You'll have a unique opportunity to peer through telescopes guided by expertise of astronomers and from the ASV. As you take in the stars above, you'll also get the chance to enjoy a yummy homemade star-shaped cookie, Mark added. Following a successful outreach program led by Kate Green during Science Week, the popular Messier Star Party will take place in Hamilton this year. Usually it's held at the Dark Sky site up at Heathcote, but this year they've decided to go further afield to Hamilton for the first time on the 9th and the 10th of March. There's a massive thirst for astronomy in that region, and we're keen to share our knowledge of astronomy and further inspire a new generation of astronomers, Mark said. Mark said that the Southern Grampians Shire Council are supporting the event. They have found a venue for us. They're providing a shuttle bus service to get people to and from the site safely. They are helping us a lot, he added. On the 15th and 17th of March, the Gippsland Star Party in Buchan will be hosted by the Astronomical Society Victoria, the Latrobe Valley Astronomical Society and the Mornington Peninsula Astronomical Society. Mark said that the Gippsland Star Party will be a haven for stargazers and shutterbugs alike. Shutterbugs. Oh yeah, okay. The night sky at Buchan is Bortle 1. Bortle is a grade scale of how good the seeing conditions are of the sky, whereas where Bortle 10, I think it goes up as far as 10, Bortle 10 is pretty poor, and Bortle 1 is like absolutely the best viewing. So the night sky at Buchan is Bortle 1, so it's pristine dark sky area. The Stockman's Camp, a camping site, sits in a gorgeous rural valley and panoramic views of surrounding farmland and adjacent mountains. He said, Mark wanted to highlight that the event isn't a standard public viewing event, though. So this is what I'm saying. It's particularly for members of the ASV. So it's just giving you an idea that if you wanted to become involved with the ASV, this is the sort of activities that we're catering for. Participants are encouraged to bring their telescopes and camping gear. It's a great weekend away for astronomers, Mark continued. Mark is also looking forward to the Galactic Star Party at the Leon Mao Dark Sky site and the Sea Lake Astrofest, which will be take place again in November, with members only event in June. There are a lot of star parties to choose from this year, Mark said. The events also provide us with opportunities to promote astronomy to original areas where it needs to be promoted. We do a lot in the city, with Melbourne Observatory and Caulfield, and astronomy for the people at schools. We need to get out more to regional Victoria. Star parties are a great way to do that. They are also great for making new friends, catching up with old friends who love the night sky. So there it is. That's the kind of activities that the ASV are usually into on a yearly basis. But this year certainly is, as Mark, the president of ASV, is saying, he's wanting to extend the reach for astronomy to folks out in the country. So some very proactive activities going on there, that is for sure. Now, just going through the magazine, next page, there was also something else of interest here too. I figured I'd read. Let's see. Melbourne Observatory to reopen to the public in March. It's titled Stellar Nights. Public tours of the Melbourne Observatory, which have not been held since the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, will restart in early March. The Astronomical Society of Victoria and the Royal Botanic Gardens of Victoria, who ran the popular night tours at the observatory, were forced to halt the tours due to COVID in March 2020. The president of the ASV, Mark Ascario, said that ASV need to train new demonstrators to operate tours again safely. Mark said that 7 new demonstrators and previous demonstrators will now run an improved tour so that the participants can learn how to do astronomy. We've improved the tour so that participants can do hands-on astronomy. The tour will start with a guided tour around the grounds, including its history, and will then break up into 3 groups. One group will go into the Astrograph House to view objects through the 12-inch Mercer telescope. One group will go into the Southern Equatorial House to view objects through the 8-inch Troughton and Sims telescope. And one group will be out on the viewing lawn with the set of Dobsonian telescopes. They will be taught how to find the brighter objects in the night sky themselves, he said. Every half hour, those groups will swap over and will develop new format after some recommendations from the test tours we ran in December 2023, Mark said. The tours haven't run since COVID-19 hit. It was a matter of getting the Royal Botanic Gardens Victoria back on board and finding a way forward, Mark said. Mark hopes the tours will take place like before COVID-19, weather permitting, of course, once a week on Monday nights. We hope that these revamped tours will be popular as were before COVID. Since the mid-1990s, the observatory has been under the stewardship of the Royal Botanic Gardens of Victoria. In recognition of its immense cultural value, the Melbourne Observatory and its surroundings were included on the National Heritage List in 2018. Mark hopes to introduce solar astronomy for the day session tours on Sunday afternoons. We are also working with the RBGV to start a Melbourne Observatory Schools program. Mark loves that the Astronomical Society of Victoria has access to such incredible historical telescopes. He says, I love that I can use these telescopes that are around 100 years old. They still work wonderfully well. We have been beautifully maintained by Malcolm Dodd, the ASV's curator, never mind, who works after the telescopes and who looks after the telescopes and other equipment at the observatory. They are just beautiful machines. Seeing them still working is fantastic. And there's also a very, last time I was in those domes, there's a very unique ancient smell about that environment too. It's that sort of old timber lacquer paint smell, together with a bit of mechanical grease and oil type smell, if you can imagine that. That's just me, of course. The history of the observatory is fascinating. It was home to the Great Melbourne Telescope, with the tours returning. We also hope to see the return of the GMT that's the Great Melbourne Telescope, to the observatory in working order. The Great Melbourne Telescope was an engineering marvel of its time and was pivotal in astronomical research. We would love to have the Great Melbourne Telescope as part of the tours, Mark continued. The ASV is dedicated to sharing the wonders of the night sky, ensuring the Melbourne Observatory remains a beacon of astronomical discovery and education for generations to come. So, like I say, the tours will take place in March. So there's a reference to the ASV's Facebook page there too for details. So that should be really interesting. I might see if I can get off my rear end and join into one of those tours. You're tuned to ASV Radio VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. Alright. Just changing pages here. There's a profile here on astrophotography. Member profile Gerard Greach. He's been doing lots of astrophotography. And I'll just hold up to the camera some of his images that he takes. This is for those watching visions. There's Greach, Mr. Greach, Gerald there, you can see. And that's just some of his photographs that he's taken through his observatory. This is the sort of thing that I want to be able to do myself, and there's no reason why I won't be able to do exactly the same kind of photography with a little bit of patience and time to get such great images. So that's an interesting read. And there's also an article here on how to build your own backyard observatory. Now, if I had have read this or seen this article before I got too carried away with my own 3-metre dome project, I might have just gone down this road. But anyway, that's just tongue-in-cheek on the fact that I've still got problems with this blasted deck of mine. But so this is a great uncle article. It's got plenty of pictures there, which I'm showing up at the camera again right now, of all the details there for building this backyard observatory. So that's just an example of the kind of article quality that you get in the ASV's magazine. Solar Activity in 2023 by John Wilkinson. I could read that out. Here's some more. Just for those that are watching video, the YouTube stream is working. It's been holding in there. So again, I'm up and running on YouTube. There'll be about a 20-second delay between what I'm saying here on 80 meters to what's coming up on YouTube. So I'm just going to hold up some of these astrophotography images taken by members of the ASV's astrophotography group section, And again, these are some amazing images of what's in our skies above our heads that we can't see with our normal eyes. But when you spend the dollars on decent telescope and decent cameras, it's amazing what modern techniques and computer software can do to enhance these very, very faint images. I might add also that a lot of these astrophotography images can also be done using a mobile phone, a modern mobile phone. There are mobile phone adapters that you can get for putting a mobile phone up against an eyepiece of a camera. All right, I'm going to go straight into the sky for February and March. This is just a one-page thing that's put together by Jim Catasfolis. He's one of the members of ASV who writes regularly for the Crux magazine for what's up in the sky for the coming months. So Jim writes that for planet Mercury, you can catch Mercury rising in the east in early February, sitting just below Mars in Sagittarius in the morning twilight. He says it will appear as magnitude minus 0.3 with a 5 arc-second waxing disk, almost entirely lit waxing disk. But you will need a clear view of the horizon to catch it as it sits at an altitude of about 5 degrees an hour before sunrise. Mercury will be lost from view as we move towards its superior conjunction on the 28th of February. It appears as an evening object again in mid-March, but its shallow angle will make the object again where's the sentence? I missed the sentence here. Mercury will be lost from the view as we move towards its superior conjunction on 28th of February. It appears as an evening object again in mid-March, but its shallow angle will make it difficult to observe even its greatest eastern elongation, as it will keep very low on the horizon. Venus will be in Sagittarius, dominates the pre-dawn sky in the east, rising 2.5 hours before sunrise, shining brilliantly as a magnitude minus 4 as an almost fully lit waxing 12 arc-second disk. A telescope reveals little detail as we move through March. Venus gradually treks down toward the horizon, still shining as a brilliant magnitude minus 3.9, only shrinking slightly to the 11 arc-seconds. Earth is at equinox on the 20th of March at 2 p.m, signalling the start of our autumn. Mars, also in Sagittarius, rises about 45 minutes after Venus in the east as morning twilight kicks in. The red planet edges closer to Venus through February when it passes just 0.6 degrees to its right on 22nd of February to 22nd of February, its ruddy red magnitude 1.3 4 arc-second disk in stark contrast to its bright companion. As we move into March, Mars moves a little higher above the horizon into Aquarius. Observing the red planet through a telescope shows a featureless disk. Jupiter, as evening sets in early February, Jupiter in Aries sits about 30 degrees above the northwestern horizon, shining as a magnitude minus 2.3, 39 arc-second disk. It is a good time to turn your telescope of the gas giant to check out its equatorial bulge, latitudinal bands, and the Galilean moons. As we move into March, Jupiter edges closer to the horizon in the evenings, and while still a good early evening target, by the end of March it is too low for any meaningful observing. Saturn is in Aquarius. It sits very low in the western sky, in the evenings in early February, making it a difficult target. It quickly exits the evening sky as it moves towards solar conjunction on the 29th of February. It will appear again as a pre-dawn object in the east in mid-March. If you are an early bird, make sure you have a look with binoculars or a telescope at the magnitude 1.0 ringed planet 45 minutes before sunrise on the 22nd of March, where you'll find it only 0.3 degrees to the right of Venus. That would probably make a good photograph. Uranus. As the nights darken in early February, Uranus sits at about 25 degrees above the northwestern horizon in the constellation Aries. Trailing Jupiter as a whitish 5.7 magnitude 3.5 arcsecond disk. As March approaches, it heads lower towards the horizon and is eventually lost in the evening twilight low in the western sky as it treks towards its May conjunction. Uranus will appear again as a pre-dawn object in early June. Neptune is in Pisces, sits low in the evening sky in the west, and will be too difficult to observe as it continues towards its 17th March solar conjunction. You will have to wait till May to see Neptune again as a morning object. Dwarf planets. Well past its January solar conjunction, Pluto in Sagittarius will not be observable until April, when it will reach favourable altitudes in the pre-dawn sky. However, minor planet Juno will be at opposition on the 4th of March 2024, reaching magnitude 8.7, and is well worth a look through a telescope. The Sun, there is a lot of activity to be seen on the Sun, and will work well worth a look with solar safe equipment. Remember to take all necessary precautions when we're viewing the Sun. Keep an eye on the SOHO website and news feeds for up-to-date information. Okay, I'll leave that one there. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel. And okay, there's also a section on comet and meteor activity. And this is by Con Sototis. Welcome to Comet and Meteor Corner, says Con. February and March signals the start of the meteor shower season for the Southern Hemisphere observers. This year, from the Southern Hemisphere, we get to see the following showers without moon interference. There's a few of them, actually. There's the Alpha Centaurids, the Eta Aquarids Maximum, Southern Delta Aquarids, Alpha Capricornids, Southern Taurids, the Northern Taurids, the Puppid Velids, and the Sigma Hydrids. My goodness me, there's some meteor showers there I've never heard before. Struth. Alpha Capricornids, Alpha Capricornids, Puppid Velids, and Sigma Hydrids. Geez. There will be more on each during the year. From a comet point of view, we have a couple of bright prospects to look forward to, Con says. Comet 12P Pons Brooks. Comet 12P Pons Brooks may get to naked eye brightness in June. Comet C/2023 A3 may brighten to magnitude 1 in October, but will be poorly placed for visual observation. Fingers crossed we may also get a bright new visitor. Comet 144P Kashida Comet 144P, is predicted to be magnitude 8 in February and be visible in the evening late night sky. In March, the comet fades to magnitude 9 and remains in the evening late night sky. Comet 144P, Kashida. Comet C/2023 A3 is predicted to be magnitude 7 in February and will be in the late night morning sky. The comet will face to a magnitude 9 on the 10th in March and will be visible throughout the night. As mentioned, the comet has the potential to be very bright later in the year. Comet C/2021 S3 Pan-STARRS is magnitude 8 in February and found in the morning sky. In March, the comet remains a magnitude 8 in the morning sky. Meteor showers and other activity in February. The Anethlion, I can never pronounce these words. The Anethlion shower is active throughout January and early February. The radiant is in southeast Gemini and crosses into Cancer in early January. The radiant then passes into southern Leo in February. The meteors are usually of medium speed, are white or yellow in colour. Meteors can leave lengthy trains lasting for up to a minute. The Alpha Centaurids is a meteor shower in the constellation Centaurus, peaking on the 9th of February this year, which is today. The average magnitude is plus 2.5. This year, there will be a minimal interference from the Moon. 6 to 8 meteors an hour is predicted from a dark sky on the morning of 9th of February. From town, you may see 2 to 3 an hour. The Gamma Normids are a meteor shower active from 20th February to 28th of March. This year the peak is on the 14th of March. The waxing crescent moon sets early and won't interfere with observations. The radiant is located near the star Gamma 2 Normae in the constellation at Norma. Yeah, so there's a bit of activity. There's a number of comets around, and of course meteor activity as well. Thanks, Con. Thanks, Jim, for those articles. So again, this is the sort of information that you can get out of the ASV magazine. There it is. I think that there's some discussion about whether that should be made available in newsagents too. I think there's they might be doing that, I'm not too sure. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel. We're still streaming on YouTube, we haven't dropped off, so that's something, isn't it? And I think we're still through the Melbourne repeater. I've lost the Discord link. That would have disappeared when I fell out of the modem fell over, so I have to assume that I'm still going through the repeater. I've got another camera here, or I'll switch cameras. So it's a little bit, that shows the Telefunken in the background there. All right, it's half an hour into it. Now, another interesting thing here too. Somebody asked about on Facebook what can be seen in the sky. Now, I know I've just gone through a lot of things that are visible. The sky. I mean, there was last week's Tanya Hill sky notes for February. But this was like a separate question on Facebook in the Astronomical ASV's website, and Perry Vlahos, former president of the ASV, replied to the question about what was available to see. And Perry writes quite a nice, detailed reply actually. And this shouldn't take too long to read. But Perry writes that every season has a host of great targets. This time of the year, there's a good number of often undeservingly neglected objects in the way of galactic clusters embedded through the Milky Way, especially in the south. For example, M46 and M47 in Pappus. The former also has a lovely planetary nebula within. So two for the price of one, he writes. Which, as a cheapskate, is the reason I bought the M46 reflector post along the entry road to the observing field. Okay, got it. He also writes that if you've not had a go previously, the wonderful pincushion Acker wishing well cluster NGC 3532, then near Eta Carina Nebula. Great target itself, but has been done to death, he says. But just 1 degree away is the most beautiful cluster in the whole galaxy, and it's the Pyramid Cluster, NGC 3293. He says, imagine flying over the top of one to see its namesake. Tiny, but just absolutely gorgeous, Perry writes. On the other side, the northern sky, you can try the Beehive cluster, the M44, in Cancer, and its nearby fainter companion M47. If you want to try an object hardly ever imaged, I've got a couple of possums fighting out the window here, making all sorts of noises. If you want to try an object hardly ever imaged, how about the globular in Lippus above Orion, M79? With all these M numbers, you may have guessed it's the time of the year to be pursuing Messier objects. Who would have thought it, he says. You also have quite a selection of planetary nebula, such as the Ghost of Jupiter, NGC 3242 in Hydra, rising in the east, plus the East Burst Nebula, NGC 3132 in Vela, and the Blue Planetary in 3918, just above Crux, but within the borders of the Centaurus. Of course, I've not included the most obvious, such as the Tarantula Nebula, on purpose and gone for the road less well trodden, he says. But they're all there as well to observe. If that's not enough for you, he says, I've got a guitar case full of others. Dear. Thanks, Perry. It's Perry used to write an article in the Green Guide. I don't know if the Green Guide still exists, to be honest. But the Green Guide used to be published along with The Age on Thursdays, and Perry used to write an article in the Green Guide every fortnight, which I would read out, actually, over the broadcast years ago. But the editor decided to think otherwise. So anyway, there it is. All right, let's move along. Thanks, Perry. It was interesting. Okay, astronomical. Mumble. How the Large Hadron Collider's successor will hunt for the dark universe, published 16 hours ago. CERN has revealed plans for the future circular collider, which will dwarf the Large Hadron Collider in size and power and hunt for the missing 95% of our universe. And there's an image here of that new collider, which I'll bring up. There it is. So what you're looking at there is an illustration that shows how the future circular collider will dwarf the Large Hadron Collider. So you can see where the Large Hadron Collider is. It's a circle there on the left side, and the Large Circular Collider, how big that will be. Planning is well underway for the successor to the world's most powerful particle accelerator, the Large Hadron Collider, LHC. The new atom smasher, named the Future Circular Collider, or FCC, will dwarf the LHC in size and power. It will smash particles together with so much energy, in fact, that scientists say it may be capable of investigating our universe's most mysterious entities, dark energy and dark matter. The LHC operators at CERN revealed the results of the midterm review of their FCC feasibility study to the press on Monday, February the 5th. The feasibility study began in 2021 and is set to conclude in 2025. The findings thus far constitute 3 years of work, with scientists and engineers from across the globe determining the placement of the new accelerator's rings, the implementation of the FCC facility, and concepts of detectors and funding aspects. The FCC will run under the jurisdiction of France and Switzerland, just like the LH currently does, but the future accelerator will stretch 56.5 miles or 90.7 kilometres, making it over 3 times the length of CERN's current particle accelerator, which is 16.8 miles or 27 kilometres long. The LHC is the largest and most powerful particle accelerator in the world. And there's another image here of the current accelerator down under the ground. There it is, just bringing it up now. It's a nice big long tube. Imagine working for a place like this. Stunning. You'd have to have the smarts, I reckon, to be down there. Anyway, just to continue on a little bit longer. The FCC will operate in the same way as the LHC, accelerating charged particles around a loop using superconducting magnets, then smashing them together as they approach the speed of light. Scientists can probe fundamental physics by observing showers of secondary particles created when particles like protons slam together. But whereas the LHC can retain energies of around 13 tera electron volts, when operating at full power, CERN says that the FCC should be able to reach energies as great as 100 tera electron volts. Our aim is to study the properties of matter at the smallest scale and the highest energy, CERN Director General Fabiola Genotti said the interim report presentation in Geneva on Tuesday, the 6th of February, whatever. So there it is. There's a bigger accelerator is about to be built. So how about that? Where is VMix gone? There it is. All right. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, 3541 kilohertz, and also via the Melbourne television repeater, VK3RTV, and my YouTube channel, VK3CSJ, and the feed is still hanging in. Next article. Can astronomers do their work during the day? A question is asked by Rishi Vardhan in India. There are many ways to study the universe, and not all of them require darkness. Can we study the universe in the daytime? It seems astronomical observations usually happen at night. Oh my goodness. Well, the simple reply to that is yes. The first thing you likely think of when you imagine studying astronomy is looking through a telescope at night. The light from planets and stars and galaxies is faint compared to the nearby sun, so ground-based observatories do have to wait until nighttime to see them. But there are other ways to study the universe, and not all of them require darkness. For example, scientists study the sun itself, use specially constructed solar telescopes during the day when the sun is visible. Satellites in space also observe our star 24 hours a day. Additionally, some astronomical signals are not affected by sunlight or clouds. Ground-based radio observatories, gravitational wave observatories, neutrino observatories, and many dark matter experiments can gather can gather data at any time. Some types of gamma ray observatories can also operate during the day. It's worth noting as well that many observatories aren't on the ground but in space. The Hubble Space Telescope, James Webb Space Telescope, Chandra X-ray Observatory and more. These can take observations that are not affected by time of the day at a given scientist's location. They can point at a range of objects that with only some limitations based on their current position in space. And the spacecraft we have sent to explore the planets of our solar system, including the many Mars rovers and orbiters, Bepi Colombo, Juno, and even New Horizons and the Voyagers constantly send back data regardless of the time here on Earth. So that was a fairly simple reply to that question. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3EKH. I won't read this article. I'll just read a few paragraphs just to whet your appetite. Just checking the green LEDs on my modem. Did monster black holes or galaxies come first? The James Webb Space Telescope may have a surprise answer published 13 hours ago. We know these monster black holes exist at the centre of galaxies near our Milky Way, but the big surprise now is that they were present at the beginning of the universe. What came first, the galaxy or its monster black hole, is the question here. Technically, it's an even more ancient riddle than one about the chicken or the egg, though we've only relatively recently become aware of it, and according to new research, scientists may finally have an answer. Supermassive black holes that existed close to the dawn of time have long been believed to have shaped the galaxies around them, accelerating the galaxies' rates of star formation and thereby influencing the evolution of the entire universe. But now, reanalysis of data from the James Webb Space Telescope indicates that these black holes could have been present during the first 50 million years of our 13.8 billion year old universe, driving star formation at such an early age. The findings could challenge the idea that black holes formed only after the first stars and galaxies emerged. We know these monster black holes exist at the centre of galaxies near our Milky Way, but the big surprise now is that they were present at the beginning of the universe as well, and were almost like building blocks or seeds for early galaxies. They really boosted everything, like gigantic amplifiers of star formation, which is a whole turnaround of what we thought possible before, so much so that this could completely shake up our understanding of how galaxies form. So that article carries on, but that's from space.com. Look under, where am I? It's I think it's the universe tab. But yeah, did monster black holes or galaxies come first? The question mark, and the James Webb Space Telescope is looking into that question. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. Alrighty then. In this image on the screen right now, the second photo of M87 black hole is stunning and more than a pretty picture. A second image of M87 black hole is a window into the inner life of gravity. What do you get for staring into the abyss of a black hole for a year? Insights into fundamental workings of gravity. In 2019, the Event Horizon Telescope, EHT, made headlines with a monumental announcement the first ever image of the shadow of a black hole, which you're seeing on the screen at the moment. The EHT is really a network of telescopes spanning the entire globe, all working in tandem and giving the network the equivalent resolution of a single dish as wide as our planet. The EHT needed that impressive resolution to capture its first target, the black hole sitting in the centre of galaxy M87, almost 54 million light-years away, in April 2017. Now, the team has finished processing another round of data, taken a year later, in April 2018, and including a new instrument in the network, the Greenland Telescope. The first image of a black hole looked so similar to the mathematical predictions that it has almost seemed like a fluke, said Dominic Chang, PhD candidate at the Harvard University. Getting the opportunity to make new tests using new data with new telescope and seeing the same structure is a crucial confirmation of our most significant conclusions. The first image generated by the EHT showcased the shadow, the hole carved out of the background light by the black hole itself. The size of the shadow is connected to the mass and spin of the black hole, two key properties of those mysterious objects. Astronomers expected that over the course of a year, the black hole should not have changed much, and so the shadow should look roughly the same, which is exactly what the new data revealed. One of the remarkable properties of a black hole is that its radius is strongly dependent on only one quantity, its mass, said Dr. Nikta, a former graduate student at Caltech. Since M87 is not accreting material which would increase its mass at a rapid rate, general relativity tells us that its radius will remain fairly unchanged over human history. It's pretty exciting to see that our data confirms this prediction. Just going a little bit further down the page. So the next generation of the EHT program will expand the array by adding new radio dishes across the globe and extending observations over many radio frequencies, with a goal of making the first black hole movies. They say that we will have a front row seats to the black hole cinema by the end of the decade. The new images will help astronomers dig deeper into the complicated physics surrounding black holes, peering deeply into the nature of the hot plasma and the black hole itself. If there's a flaw or shortcoming in Einstein's general theory of relativity, which has remained the contested champion of gravity for over 100 years, that crack should appear there, deep in the heart of the abyss. The abyss. Yeah, there's more to come from our studies of black holes. It really is quite amazing stuff. All right, with less than 10 minutes to go before the hour, I think I shall go to... what do I have there? Oh, yeah, okay. There is something happening at the IMAX cinema, and it's this on the screen right now. Watch those watching the visions. The visions. Yes, it's called Deep Sky, and it's directed by Oscar-nominated filmmaker Nathaniel Kahn and narrated by Oscar-nominated actress Michelle Williams. Deep Sky follows the high-stakes global mission to build the James Webb Space Telescope and to launch it into orbit 1 million miles from Earth in an attempt to answer questions that have haunted us since the beginning of time. Where did we come from? How did the universe begin? Are we alone? 13 billion years in the making, Deep Sky reveals the universe as we have never seen it before, immersing audiences in the stunning pictures beamed back to Earth by NASA's new telescope and capturing their vast beauty at a scale that can only be experienced on a giant IMAX screen. So there it is. There's a documentary that's available at IMAX. It's called Deep Sky, and it is showcasing what has come from the James Webb Space Telescope. So book a seat. In fact, there's a group there tonight from the ASV watching it tonight, so we might get some feedback on all that too, which will be interesting. Alrighty then, next here is to go to spaceweather.com. So, alright, the solar wind is currently at 477 kilometers per second at a density of 6.84 protons per cubic centimeter. The solar disk currently looks like this. Where are we? There. So those watching visions. So that's what the disk looks like as we speak. There are several sunspots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nine sunspots. The current sunspot number is 149. And if we go down the page a bit, the radio sun, measured at a wavelength of 10.7 centimeters, is currently 185 solar flux units. There is a little bit of auroral activity over the South Pole as we speak. This is what it looks like. Not much to write home about, but there is a little bit of an auroral oval over Antarctica as we speak. That reminds me, who detected the earthquake last night? I was awake at the time, and because I have my seismometer sitting next to me on the same bench where I sit at the laptop and where I watch TV, I felt the place shake, and I knew straight away that that was an earthquake, or a tremor, earthquake in this case. And I looked straight at my seismograph, and there it was in real time. I was seeing this earthquake happening, and I thought, this is exactly what I wanted the seismograph to be on the screen for, so I could watch this thing developing. And for those watching the TV, let me see, I'll have to go to camera because this is just a live to camera at the moment. Okay, so that's... Oh, no, I'll go to the other camera. I'll go back to the USB camera that's a bit closer to me. Where are we? That one here. Yeah, so there it is there. For those watching visions, that's what I recorded last night. That's the magnitude 4.3 earthquake that hit Leongatha. Leongatha was shaken to the bones. And that's what I saw develop on my seismograph last night. And I was so rapt to actually see that happening in real time. Very, very impressed, if I don't say so myself. I just fascinates me, earthquakes, and being able to detect them. Back to spaceweather.com, however. There's a beautiful picture here of a sunspot, and I'm going to bring it up. Blah! Oh, where are we here? vMix. Go back to vMix and bring up this gorgeous looking sunspot. Here it is. Look at this. I'm still streaming on YouTube. I haven't fallen over, so YouTube is still running beautifully well here. You'll see this in 20 seconds time. Okay. Spaceweather.com says that there's a geomagnetic storm watch, G1. Minor G1 class geomagnetic storms are possible on the 9th of February when a CME is expected to pass close to Earth. The storm would require not just a near miss, but an actual glancing blow. The asymmetric shape of the CME suggests either outcome is possible, making this a coin flip forecast. A coin flip forecast. Now to the sunspot, they're referring to it as the Martian sunspot, and it's facing Earth. A sunspot big enough to see from Mars, I see, is now turning to face the Earth. NASA's Perseverance rover on Mars first noticed the sprawling sunspot group last week, photographing it using the rover's mast cam. It was a behemoth then and has only grown bigger since. And so the image you're seeing here was it's AR 3576, and it was taken from a fellow in Argentina. This view was fantastic, says Arduino. No, that's a computer, isn't it? Ardio. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Anyway, by the photographer who photographed the sunspot using a solar-filtered telescope in town of Rafaela. Yeah. So anyway, it's a magnificent image, and there it is. You can read about it on spaceweather.com. Eduardo Scharberger Popiu. People with funny names. It's unbelievable. All right, so we go down the page a little bit. Where's my vMix at the moment? Oh, I'm sitting there. Okay. All right. As of February the 9th, 2024, there were, or potentially are, 2,349 potentially hazardous asteroids. But none of those 2,349 are on a collision course with Earth at the moment. That's space weather in a nutshell. Where's the KP number? I didn't read that out. Planetary K index. The KP figure is currently 1.33, which is considered quiet. The 24-hour max KP figure will be 2.00 and also considered quiet. Okay, now was there anything else I was going to throw up there? Oh yes, a little bit of plug for astrophys.com, like I normally do. If you're interested to have a listen to some interesting podcasts, tune in to Brendan O'Brien's Astrophys podcast, available at www.astrophys.com. That's astro with a PHIZ, astrophys.com. And he's currently got 185, I think it is. It's a bit hard to read. The numbers are too small on the screen. But anyway, a huge number of podcasts there. So give astrophys.com a bit of a listen to if you have a spare half hour to an hour to listen to Brendan's amazing interviews there. Okay. So I think that's about where I'll wrap things up for tonight. There were a couple of other things there, but I shall leave them till next week. Just a quick look at email. I haven't done that thus far. So at this stage, only one person has sent an email in. Thanks, Steve. Steve, VK3SPX. He says, a good single, but a weaker than usual. 5.9 plus 15. Yes, I'm not running the linear. I'm definitely running the HF transmitter here on a low power basis at the moment, so that I don't knock out the modem. I must try and work out where the RF is getting into things here, and see if I can fix it up, because I'd like to be back to full power next week. Okay, I think that's about it. So you've been listening to VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast here on 3541 kilohertz, kicking off at 10 o'clock, and also via the Melbourne television repeater, VK3 RTV, digital channel 1, and also on Discord, and the YouTube stream, which has fortunately has remained active. I've run out of paper here to write call signs down on. Oh, sorry, excuse me. I'm just going to have to squeeze you guys in on the side of the paper here. All right, this is VK3 EKH. I'm going to take a quick listen on the frequency for any stations wishing to check in tonight's cast missions. VK3 EKH listening.
VK3 Golf Lima, VK3 Japan Radio. VK3, same Delta Juliet, Sierra. Victoria. VK3 Delta with Delta X-ray. VK3 is due. VK3 Golf Oscar Delta. And VK3 TJ is not sure what I got me there before. VK3 UZI.
All right. There might be one or two there I missed out because there's a few doubles. VK3GL, 3JR, 3TJS, 3DX, 3SPX, 3GOD, I think it was, and 3UZI. Was there any other stations there?
VK7JAH. VK3BTV.
Okay, VK7JAH and VK3BTV. It's a call sign there. Alrighty. There's a couple of new call signs there, so I hope I got them right. Across to you there, Mr. Lewis, VK3GL in Bunyip, VK3EKH.
Okay, very good. Thanks, mate. VK3EKH, VK3GL. Very good evening to everyone else who's checked in this evening. Good signals all round. I heard everyone checking in this evening. And Clint, you're a good 15 or so overnight. And very consistent with the broadcast tonight. I did watch a majority of it on the YouTube stream. And obviously lost a little bit of it because you lost your connection early on in the piece. But a good broadcast, and thanks very much for all the information that you shared this evening. I note that there is some activities, I think they're being advertised on the screen before the broadcast, but you also mentioned them at the start of the broadcast. There's an event up at Falls Creek and another Messier Star Party or something down in Western Victoria, I think that one. So it seems like there's a few activities and events on the go at the moment as well. And general comments to the broadcast all noted as well. Nothing really further to add, other than I enjoyed listening to the bits and pieces that you had to share this evening. So there we be. All right. Thanks for the broadcast. I might have a brief word if you're still around after the callback session. But otherwise, have a very pleasant evening. And no, I didn't feel the earthquake. Unfortunately, I'd finished work at 12:15, as I will be this evening. Finishing work at 12:15. So by the time I got to bed and that, I think I must have been just into land and nod as the earthquake hit last night. But I reckon it probably would have shaken pretty well down here because our distance from here to Inverloch's not really that far, or not in the scheme of things, and it seemed like it was fairly far and wide. But I believe that there was some measurements taken in New Zealand, Tasmania, WA. I believe that there was something seen in Kalgoorlie in WA or something like that. So not only not only you had the opportunity to chart it there, Clint, but I think probably plenty of others did as well. Thanks again, and I might talk to you a bit later on. VK3EKH in the group, VK3GL in Bunyip.
Yeah, thanks, Graham. VK3GL in Bunyip, VK3EKH, Narre Warren South. Very good. Yeah, you missed it because I'm fairly certain you would have had a decent shake at Bunyip. Like I not only did I feel the quake and hear it in the barn here, and so I was right on it. But I was right on to geoscience, very quickly. They probably took about 5 minutes before they showed the earthquake on the map. And I thought, well, next thing is to, Kiss, get down, Kiss, get down, Kiss, get down. That's my cat. Yeah, so it took about 5 minutes. And of course, the next thing was to write a report, a felt report, And I was really surprised that even within 5-10 minutes of the earthquake, the amount of people that got onto the Geoscience website to fill in a report that they felt this earthquake. There was over 5,000 by a few hours later, and of course I was one of them as well. Yeah, pretty amazing stuff. Anyway, enough of that. Thanks, Graham. Yeah, maybe around a little bit late for a little bit afterwards. Cross to Frank, VK3JR, VK3EKH.
VK3EKH, VK3JR. Good evening, Clint. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for the broadcast. As usual, highly interesting. Good news about the condition of the sun at the moment for these RV units. That's looking good, especially like we're going to watch this big sunspot with great interest. Now, the question of the earthquake was most interesting there, because it must be very satisfying to have, to have purchased an instrument like that actually operates, you see operating in real time with an event that could kind of happen any time. It's very random, obviously. I wonder if, what was the Richter scale reading on that earthquake? And I wonder if your seismometer gives you any idea of relative strength. I'd be most interested. Missions will be happening on 160 metres, 1.865, if anyone's interested, after 11:30 tonight. Thanks for doing it, Clint, and talk next week. VK3EKH, VK3JR.
Good on you, Frank. VK3JR, VK3EKH. Excellent stuff. Yes, look, the particular program that I use has various features in it that allow you to determine magnitude. I've yet to actually have a good play with that, because the problem is the seismometer, which sits in a small Eddystone box, sits on the floor of the barn, and it's not really in the best position. I've only got to have the cat walk past it and accidentally hit it. It sets it off. If I jump or make vibrations around the place, it'll spike. So it's not really in the best position at the moment, but it's just sitting on the floor, concrete floor of the barn. But there is a way of being able to calculate the magnitude with a few known factors to plug in, so to speak. But the magnitude, the official magnitude was 4.3, a magnitude of 4.3. The quake was at a depth of about 7 kilometres deep, 7 or 8 kilometres. And I'm trying not to sneeze here. I've got a tickle in my nose all of a sudden. So it's an interesting seismometer, because it's sensitive to being able to detect magnitude 7 earthquakes that are 10 to 13,000 kilometres away. But anything less than a magnitude 3, it's not easy for it to see. So this one I saw last night was magnitude 4.3, and its deflection on the screen is quite significant. But apparently there's been a number of aftershocks that have occurred. And interestingly enough, Geoscience doesn't seem to have reported those aftershocks, but in the news tonight they did report that there has been several low magnitude aftershocks that have followed on. And of course I haven't seen any of those. I haven't seen anything not detected at all. But I want to put the seismometer in the ground. It shouldn't be where it is right now. So in the very near future, I will place the seismometer in a waterproof type box and bury it in the ground, so it'll be in direct contact with, near direct contact with the ground, and won't be so obviously so affected by things happening here. Yeah. So anyway, it's a little device I got from the States. It's Emesis, amateur seismology. Emesis is a short word for it. Thanks, Frank, and I shall have the 160 meters tuned in a little bit later too. Sorry about this. Jack, VK3TJS. G'day, Jack. Oh, that's a combination of Shepparton and Jack. VK3TJS, VK3CSJ.
VK3CSJ / VK3EKH, which is VK3TJS in Shepparton. Look, I've been called worse things than that, so it's no problem. You can call me that. But interesting. Not the earthquake and everything. Well, we didn't hear, or we didn't feel anything here in Shepparton. So it's must have been down there more, or down south more. But it's my first broadcast that I'm listening this year. So happy New Year to everyone, and lovely signal from you who not stop the thing until us back 15 to 20 over all the time, and also lovely signals from Graham and Frank as well. So good to hear you guys again, and I've been quietly kind of measuring my voltages on my phone radio. That's got a bit of an issue, I think, and listening to the broadcast at the same time, so it was good, and hopefully we'll sort it out. So thanks a lot again, Clint, and interesting about seismographers, experience and everything, cosmology, and amazing. Very interesting stuff for sure. So put it back to you. Thanks a lot again, and I'll catch you next time. VK3KH, VK3TJS.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. VK3TJS, VK3EKH. Yeah, very good. Welcome back to the session. I think this is the third broadcast so far for the year. And I'm now operating downstairs from where I was in the upstairs shack. So I'm still trying to get things together down here. It's still a bit of a mess. If anybody watching the YouTube stream right now can see behind me, it's just it's a mess. So I'm still trying to get things together. But nevertheless, welcome back. Thanks for calling in, Jack. Not a problem at all. Look, the earthquake, the propagation of the pressure wave of an earthquake is an interesting one, and it is possible to be in the null of the pressure wave. So there's less damage in those nulls between the peak. So it's possible that there are places that didn't sense or pick up the earthquake as much as others. But I'm surprised that despite the magnitude 4, that it was detected in places like New Zealand and down as far as Antarctica, right across Australia. So it just goes to show that it's relatively shallow, 8 kilometres down. So it had a chance for the pressure wave to spread out rather than being absorbed into the crust. I've got a cat sitting on my transmitter here. If I suddenly change frequency, all of a sudden it's because the cat's knocked the VFO dial. Anyway, thanks, Jack. Welcome back to the sessions here. Good signal too from you. Greg, VK3 Delta X-ray, VK3EKH. G'day, Greg.
G'day, Clint. VK3EKH, VK3 Delta X-ray. Greg down in Royal. I didn't know anything about the earthquake there, Clint. Interesting broadcast, and first time I've been on this year. Good to catch up there, Clint. I've been in hospital for the last week. I had my hip replaced, so just come home yesterday. So I'm in recovery mode there, Clint. But I thought I'd take a listen around for the broadcast tonight there, Clint. And sure enough, there were good signals, and you were over the 9, Clint. Most of the signals, Jack was up there in Shepparton, coming through at a good strength. And Graham, he's always good, and most of the other signals were too. Okay, Clint, won't hold too much. I think I better hit the top. Been a bit tired since I come out of the hospital. Anyway, it's all getting better every day. Certainly the chronic pain that I had with the hip is definitely gone. And just need to do the recovery now, Clint. Thanks for rolling that, mate, and I'll be about next week. VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel. VK3 Delta X-ray, Greg down in Warrnambool.
Good on you, Greg. VK3 Delta X-ray, VK3 EKH, and yes, I hope you recover quickly from that operation. Hip operations, like knee operations, they're a pretty ghastly kind of surgery, and I wish you speedy recovery from that, and when these sorts of operations are successful, the overall improvement to what what you weren't able to do previously improves. From what I hear, the stories I've read, and the people I know that have had joints replaced. Like I say, I hope you recover very quickly so that you can get back to full flexibility and being able to do things. Thinking of you. Thanks, Greg. Good signal from you too. Propagation's good on 80 metres tonight. All right, we're going to Steve, VK3SPX, VK3EKH. G'day, Steve.
VK3EKH, this is VK3SPX. No worries, Clint. I thought you were a little bit lower tonight, so without linear that makes sense. Good signal anyway. Pretty noisy at 80 metres, but you're coming through pretty clearly. And I can see your cat there, by the way. He seems there's a nice warm perch. I wouldn't be half surprised if he moves one of those dials on you. That would be amusing. So there's interesting stuff there, wasn't there? That new collider, that'd be just gigantic, wouldn't it? I wonder what that'll cost. It seems perhaps it's a bit pie in the sky, because I know that some people in that community are a bit dubious that increasing the energy even further will yield any good results. It's going to cost billions of dollars, so I think we've got a few politicians to convince the worthiness of that, but we'll just have to see, yes. That black hole picture is pretty nifty too, isn't it? I think you segued into the IMAX thing too. I had a bit of a look at that. I might go and have a look at that. That'd be good, isn't it? It's not very expensive to go sit there. It only runs 45 minutes or so. So that'd be good, yeah. Okay, probably enough from me. I'll cheerio left to BTV down the bottom of the list there. I worked with Kieran once. Thanks, Clint. Back to you, VK3EKH. This is VK3SPX.
VK3VIN.
Yep, got you in. VK3VIN right at the bottom there. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, excellent stuff. And look, there's a couple of things that I want to see in Melbourne. I'd like to go to the Titanic exhibition I think it's at the National Gallery, if it hasn't finished already. Probably missed it by the chance of things. But the Titanic exhibition, I wouldn't mind going to see. But certainly the IMAX. The last time I was at the IMAX cinema was to see the first Star Trek movie, the new series that came out, the full length movie. It's got Christopher Pine in it, I think that's his name. Anyway, I saw that there and was suitably impressed on the big screen. That's another story. But yeah, so I hope I can get a chance to see the documentary. But once it gets released on Blu-ray, I'll probably buy that, no doubt. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for calling in. And in a nutshell, there's been no movement on the dome and the deck. I'm still in a bit of a dilemma as to what to do with this blasted deck. It's not flat enough, and it's a bit of an issue, but we're getting there. Now, VK3GOD, according to my QRZ.com, Where was it? There, yeah. It's Robert at Melbourne. I think that's correct. VK3GOD, VK3EKH. Go ahead.
VK3EKH, VK3GOD. Yes, the name is Robert, and I'm in Melbourne, and I want to thank you for the broadcast. I've just joined the ASV last week, so I thought I should tune in and call in. Hope everyone has a good evening and a good weekend, and I'll be listening to the end. VK3EKH, VK3GOD.
Yeah, no worries, Robert. Good stuff. VK3GOD, VK3EKH, VK3CSJ on the microphone. No worries. Welcome to the ASV. I don't get many members of the ASV actually coming up on the net. The last time I inquired as to how many members, there, at the time we had about, let's say about 1,600 members that made up the ASV. And I wanted to find out how many of that membership were actually licensed amateurs, because at the time I was the section director for radio astronomy. And I was always a bit miffed over the fact that the number of radio-minded people in the ASV that weren't interested in radio astronomy. All their prime interest was the optical astronomy. They had telescopes or just generally were interested in astronomy and wanted to be involved in the society. But very, very rarely did they ever show up to a radio astronomy meeting at the old Para Street club room. And but I did some research and I found that there was about 30, I think there was about 25 to 30 licensed radio amateurs that make up the membership of the ASV, and only a few were involved with the radio astronomy section at the time. But the vast majority were only really interested in the fact that they could use their telescope there. So, but you know, this particular broadcast has been running since 1988, and over those many years, we've had a lot of stations come and go. But the majority of the stations that do come up and give reports and all that aren't really involved with the ASV directly as a member. So there it is. Anyway, welcome on board, Robert. Good to have you here, and much appreciated. Hope you enjoy your time with the ASV. And as mentioned at the beginning there, the ASV is certainly trying to reach out as far as they can afield to get people interested in looking at the sky. So they're definitely proactive in that area. Thanks, Rob. Now, I think the next call sign was VK3UZI. I might have that wrong. VK3 Uniform Zulu India, VK3UZI, I think it was. VK3EKH, go ahead.
VK3EKH, VK3 Uniform Zulu India, you are correct, and thank you for running this. I used to listen to you quite a few years ago at another QBH, and she'd have a bit of a break from the radio, other things took up. And this evening I just was looking around and there you are. And then I even had a look at you on YouTube. There you go. That's a good way of putting a face to the voice without actually meeting. And it's all very interesting stuff. Hopefully next week I might be able to tune in a bit earlier if I'm around. And thanks for running the broadcast. Yeah, I was up in Western Victoria that time, so now I'm down in Penang and Penang. This way is Delta Alpha Victor here, and 3K3 CKH, 3K3 UZI.
Yeah, good on you. You might have mentioned your name. What was your name?
David, Delta Alpha Victor India, Delta.
Yeah, thanks, David. Good on you. All right, just writing that down here. Excellent. Thanks, David. Welcome to the session. And yeah, I'll be back here again next Friday, 10 o'clock, to do it all again. But yeah, it's good to hear you. And you're about 5 and 8 to 9, and quite readable at this point in time. So not a problem at all. Yeah, so there it is. Okay, thanks, David. Across to Martin, VK7JAH. Take it away, Martin, VK3EKH.
Evening, Clint. I won't keep it so long. The noise levels down here are a bit horrendous. Your usual 15 over 9 is between 20 over 9, but the noise floor is very close to you. So it is a little bit difficult to actually follow what's going on. So I'll make it fairly quick. I don't know how well you're receiving me. I'm putting this down to solar activity at the moment, but it is extremely noisy. Good broadcast, though. Thank you very much. A couple of dropouts on YouTube from down here, but nevertheless got probably 95% of all without getting any problems. So a good night. Thanks for the broadcast. I'll throw it back to you, VK3, VK7JAH.
Yeah, not a problem. VK7JAH, VK3EKH. You know, you're a good signal. It's fortunate that the band noise isn't so high tonight. So you're coming through reasonably well. Not a problem at all. I was just fighting with my Kiska cat on the radio. The VFO is locked, so it's all right. I can twist the dial here like this, and it doesn't change frequency at all. How about that? Thanks, Martin, and good to hear you calling in. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much, Lee. Kieran, haven't heard from you for a while, so welcome back to the astronomical session here on Friday night. It's a good signal. VK3BTV, VK3EKH. Hang on a sec. The tail was in the way. Yep, no worries, Kieran. Thanks very much. VK3BTV, VK3EKH. Thanks for the kind words there. And yeah, I don't know how long I'll be here at this microphone doing this sort of thing every Friday night. It's you know, it's being a late session here on Friday night. Not a whole lot of people can hang around because it's just simply too late. There are a lot of people that are early to bed people. So the group that used to come up when Russell was doing it before I took over, it was still 10 o'clock. You know, Russell used to operate the broadcast from 10, but he would have a dedicated group of fellows that used to listen to him. And they've all dispersed since I took over, and even Russell VK3DRW, I you know, occasionally he listens, lets me know that he's listening. But anyway, like I say, the session's been running since 1988, so it's pretty good. And since I've been doing it, which is now about, I guess, 12 years. I've included the video side of it, so the repeater and YouTube streams. So I still want to get back to doing a simulcast on 160 as well, when I finally get around to doing that. So anyway, all right, thanks, Kieran. You sound a bit tired, like me. VK3VIN, Ian, up there at Kangaroo Flat, I think it is. Have a say, mate, VK3EKH.
VK3EKH. The group VK3 peaking 30 dB over 9. You peaked at 20 over 9, so it's only a loss of, 10 dB. What's that, 1.5 F points? The QSB took you down to between 8 and 9, but there was nothing wrong with the quality, all good. A couple of comments. Firstly, the one that you made about people being interested mainly or only in the visual nature of astronomy. Look, it doesn't surprise me. There's a general focus in society these days on the visual, and the non-visual is drastically underestimated, not understood, and occasionally ridiculed. And you'd know that if you were without the visual. I don't know that there's much we can do about it, but I love the non-visual, of course, being non-visual myself. And a comment that I'll make that there was some auroral activity this week, and some of it quite marked. It wasn't lengthy by any means, so it was there one second and gone the next. But there has been some auroral activity, and again, visual people would have missed it. So we non-visual have some advantages sometimes. I won't labour it anymore. It's a pet subject of mine. Yeah, and some fascinating things going on, aren't there? You know, people wanting to put this giant umbrella up to negate global warming. I mean, that would have to be a massive umbrella. They're talking about it covering New South Wales, Victoria and Queensland totally. And it's been proposed by a group who say, well, let's put a shield or a block between us and things that they see as warming the Earth or warming the planet. Now I have another take on that, and that is that part of global warming comes from the use of cement and bitumen and those sort of things. And of course, if you block off that aspect of the world, of course, these cements and things hold the heat. And of course, we don't have as many trees as we used to. So that's the global warming bit. I'm getting through a bit, aren't I? But anyway, there's a comment. What I heard of the broadcast I enjoyed, as usual. And I know it must get to be a bit of a, I won't say drag, but I'll say a bit of an impost. May I suggest that one way around it might be to, as well as YouTube, generate it as a podcast. And that way I could have the podcast and just do it as I would normally a lot of other podcasts. So there's a thought. If you ever get to the breaking point, think about a podcast that you can record when you're not quite as tired and drained from work, etc. Might be worth a look. All right, there you go. There's a heap in that over. Now, by the way, you're taking 20 dB overnight, VK3VIN.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. VK3VIN, VK3EKH replying, yes, there was a lot. There is some. I've read that there is some discussion of changing the colour of roads because all roads are. It's kind of a joke I was about to make, but it didn't work. But all because the colour of roads are black, and there's some suggestion that of making them white. I'm not sure about that. But and the other part of that scenario is house roofs, dark house roofs. There's a number of house roofs that have got a grey or maybe even a black finish, and they're thinking that to not use dark tiles on house roofs anymore. They've got to be bright to reflect the light back, the heat back, and to help to minimise absorbing for the house itself. Don't know about this umbrella or something cover. That's science fiction. I haven't heard about that idea, but that's you're talking something. It sounds like it's something on a very, very grand scale and some stage in the future. But certainly the planet is having a few little hissy fits at the moment, to use that term. Certainly a lot of extreme weather conditions are occurring, particularly through Europe, and they've had some incredibly cold winters. And then, of course, the bushfires over in Mexico and elsewhere. And I'm surprised. Well, no, I won't say I'm surprised, but we're very fortunate here in Victoria thus far to not have a bushfire season that's got any fires that are actually a problem. With the amount of rain that we've had and the cold weather that we seem to be having at the moment. You know, the hot days are only one or two in a week, and then it goes cold again. So I guess we've got to thank our lucky stars that the heat conditions hasn't brought in a full-on fire scenario for us here in Australia. I think Western Australia had some bad fires in recent weeks. But it's an interesting one, and it'd be interesting to see how things pan out over the next 12 months as far as the global climate goes. But the temperature has certainly been on an increase. That's definitely something that's been recorded. So the planet is having to regulate itself by having these storm-like conditions that occurs in places. Anyway, that's another story. What else was there in that? We're running low power, or lowish. Where's my power meter? Let's see if I turn that off there. Where's 100? That's kicking up to about 80 watts. That's just under 100 watts, about 90 watts on that whistle, thereabouts. So definitely low power, and I'm still, the internet hasn't fallen over. So somewhere RF is getting into something. I'm going to try and have to work that one out. All right, thanks Ian for checking in, and a reasonable signal from you too, not a problem at all. On that note, I'll take one more listen. EKH. Is there any other stations wishing to check in tonight's session? VK3 EKH listening.
Chris, that umbrella idea over these states to block global warming came up on radio this morning, and I didn't take in all the technical details, but it was on radio this morning from a scientific and interest group just throw that to you, VK3VIN.
Yeah, thanks. Was it the ABC or another station?
Commercial.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. All right. I'll do a search and see what that was all about. Be interesting to do an investigation on that one for sure. All right, thanks, Ian. Thanks, everybody. Graham, Frank, Jack, Greg, Steve, Robert, David, Martin, Kieran, Ian, and checking email. It's only been from Steve. I don't know who came up on Discord. There's usually always a group that come up on Discord, but the computer is way over there, and so I don't know who's up on Discord. But thanks everybody who came up on Discord. I'll have a listen. I'll go over and have a bit of a look at it in a short while, and send a goodbye message. And oh yeah, that was the other thing you mentioned, Ian. Podcasting. I have thought about it. Yes, I have thought about it because with podcasting, I'm a little bit more available. The license to be able to do things is a little bit more free. We're still a bit restricted here. Being the broadcast here has been predominantly ham radio orientated, and so that thus far, you're a bit restricted with what you can do, more or less. So that's been the only issue there. So I have often thought about perhaps transitioning across to a podcast arrangement and not having HF comms anymore. So I don't know. I'm not sure how successful that would be. It would mean that I could do a few more things that I can't do here, and that's what would make that interesting. But that would also mean that I would have to put myself more into the time slot that I would give myself to make it more valuable. I'm thinking along the lines of actual interviews with people, arranging and planning an interview with various people, and having that sort of concept as well to make it more interesting. Yeah, probably I may think about that when I retire. And that's still a few years away. Thanks, Ian. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. We'll be back at 10 o'clock next week on 3541 and on RTV and the YouTube stream. And if I can find out where the RF is getting into things, I'll be back to full power next week. Cheers, everyone. Take care. Have a safe weekend and a safe week. VK3 EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, concluding transmissions tonight. And more information about the ASV can be found at www.asv.org.au. Cheers, everyone. Take care.
Cheers.
All right. And to the YouTubers out there, thank you for watching on YouTube. There's always somebody else. Yeah, hang a sec, Gray. I'm just going to remove the YouTube stream. I'll probably keep the signal on the repeater going, actually. But anyway, this is VK3CSJ or ASV Radio, concluding on the YouTube stream too. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next Friday to do it all again with more news and articles on the latest things in astronomy. So there it is. Let me just fade to black on the YouTube stream. Where's my color bars? There it is. So this is fading to black. No, well, not quite. It's fading to color bars. And the kiss. Say goodbye to everybody. Kiss. Go on, turn around. Wave to the camera. Cheers, everyone.